Hello, welcome to today's workshop. It is the first workshop that I'm sending out in the 2022 newsletter, and thank you so much for signing up. This is exactly why you'll be receiving health wellness information so you can learn and you can begin to apply in your daily life in order to maximize your energy, in order to learn how to effectively deal with stress, and just increase fulfillment and joy in life overall. My name is Myra, and I'm an integrative nutrition health coach and fitness trainer. And my passion is just to share this knowledge, to learn, to share, and to be able to just create a positive, healthy community. And today's workshop, we have intermittent fasting. It is a fascinating topic and super great for those of you who have fitness and weight loss goals for this year and just health goals in general. Let me just start screen sharing here and we'll get started. Let's go back to the beginning. Okay, let's talk intermittent fasting. So in today's workshop, I'll try to keep it as short as I can. We'll be talking about how it is a great way and lifestyle or eating pattern, I should say, if you have fitness and weight loss goals, what it does to your energy levels and metabolism, and how the different eating patterns and times, because there are different eating patterns and times when you engage into intermittent fasting. Is not the same for all. So there's variety in what you can choose. So what is it? Okay. It is not a diet. It is just eating patterns. Okay. So we'll talk about the examples of them, but just to throw it out there, there's the most popular one could be the 16-8 eating pattern, where you fast, you don't eat for 16 hours of your 24-hour day. And then you have an 8-hour window where you eat. And so those are the different patterns. And it derives actually from our ancestors, okay, hunters and gatherers. Before, we didn't have this abundance of stores everywhere and food everywhere where you can just go buy and refrigerate. The life before was different. Like if you wanted food, you needed to, first of all, have the tools to make the kill, to go hunting, have the energy to go hunt, bring it home, share it with the community. So, I mean, amazing if you got to eat one day, but there was uncertainty in when you got to eat. So some people went long hours without eating, right, before they make that next kill, or even 24, 48, 3 hours without eating, okay? So it really derives from that pattern of eating. And obviously we've survived thousands of years. Here we are, humans, functioning, thriving, I hope. And so it has been shown that intermittent fasting actually has great benefits for your health. So that's where it comes from. And these eating patterns are ingrained in our DNA. We have survived, okay? Part of us knows, okay? We are a system of survival, and it knows that overeating is never and was never a sustainable or natural thing to do, okay? So that's what we're engaging in. Unfortunately, there are a lot of diseases that are starting to just become more, become more evident or more popular in society. And they can really be preventable just by how we're changing our pattern of eating. So how does it really work? Okay, so it involves, as I explained before, various periods of fasting interspersed by shorter windows of eating, okay? And even though obviously we allow the body to fast and detoxify, it is super important to ensure that during that window of eating that we are still having a balanced, nutritious meal, okay? So it doesn't mean that you can eat junk food, whatever you want during the times of eating, because you have this entire time where the body's just resting and not consuming anything. The balance of nutritious quality of vitamins and minerals and food, super important to also keep with these eating patterns, okay? So the upsides, the benefits of intermittent fasting that have been recorded is that it lowers instances of cardiac complications and it lowers risk of developing diabetes. Obviously, the more you allow the body to rest and to lower those blood glucose levels, it might help with your diabetes. It lowers levels of inflammation and joint pain. So a lot of physical illnesses are due to chronic inflammation of the body. If you think about migraines, inflammation. If you think about arthritis, that's obviously inflammation in the joints. So having a system that lowers that, obviously it's going to promote health. Loss of excessive belly fat, it regulates imbalanced hormonal and cellular function. Okay, so it makes stored fat more accessible. What it means is that when you're constantly eating, your body's number one energy system is glucose, sugars. So if you're constantly eating, your body's taking that food, those sugars, and it's using it for energy. Okay, and the stored fat that you have, it just keeps it in the back corner because it doesn't need it right now because you're feeding the body enough energy, enough glucose. But if you go in those times of fasting with no food coming in, then your body says, oh, there's no glucose coming in. There's not energy coming in because this person's not eating. So let me go to the stored fat and start using that for energy. Okay, so this is how intermittent fasting can make that stored fat more accessible. And it sends, this is a really cool, awesome thing about intermittent fasting. It sends metabolism into overdrive. So what I mean by that is when you actually, so let's say you fast, okay? And then you have your first meal after the 16-hour fast or the 12, you'll learn more about the times later. And then that first meal, because you haven't gotten any food in a long period of time, your metabolism is so ready to metabolize that food that you're putting in your body. It's ready to break it down, to absorb it, okay? So digestion, it burns more. Digestion is an overdrive and the absorptions of nutrients, it's increased because obviously the body has been depleted for all those hours and it's going to take all this energy that it can. So this is the cool thing about it, is that just sends your metabolism in overdrive. I love to repeat that sentence. Just how there's benefits, there's downsides, like everything in life, okay? So I mentioned this before, unbalanced diet during eating window. So making sure that if you do engage in intermittent fasting, you're not misinterpreting the eating window and what it consists of. It still consists of eating nutritious, quality foods, right? I'll talk later about it more in depth, but there is an actual way to structure your plate to make sure that you're consuming your carbs and your vegetables and fruits and your protein. Okay, so balanced diet is super important to keep in mind. And sometimes the downside is obsession over eating times. So for some of us that may be a little more prone to disordered eating and more sensitive to our relationship with food, it can cause obsessions when it comes to the times and when you need to eat and when you don't need to eat, and it can cause a little or a lot of stress. So it's important to keep that in mind, right? Where our minds all function differently. So I have this quote, be flexible in the mind, okay? Be gentle, compassionate with yourself. Intermittent fasting and these eating patterns is something that you can acquire for the rest of your life to keep you healthy, to keep you functioning optimally. But if there's days, I mean, there's vacation times, there's times in which you travel to other different countries that switch up your sleeping patterns, and it's okay to have times where you're eating outside those times that you have set for yourself. Okay, so be flexible in the mind. Yeah. So here is some examples of fasting. So we've got the 16-8, which is what I mentioned before, very popular. There's the 12 and 12. And how this can work is you can stop. I always advise clients to stop eating 2 hours and before sleeping, because it really promotes better rest. So with the 12 and 12 is actually what I engage in. I engage in 14, 10, 12, and 12. And because I have that flexibility, okay, I am not very rigid. Life happens, life is constantly changing, so flexibility is important. And so how the 12 and 12 can work is maybe you stop eating at 7 at night, 7 p.m. at night. You have your whole, let's say, 8 hours of sleeping. And then you just need an extra 4 hours after you wake up of just not consuming your food. It may sound impossible, but it's actually very doable. The 16-8 is a little challenging. I don't engage in that one, but there are some people that really thrive in that one. So this is why I'm sharing the different options for you so you can choose for yourself. Obviously 14-10 works the same way. You can go to sleep, you have your 8 hours, 9 hours of fasting, and then on top of that, just your 4 or 5 hours where you just don't eat breakfast right away, where you have your glass of water, where you can have a cup of black coffee, no added sugars to it. And then there's the 24 hours per week. So some people actually choose to fast an entire 24 hours once a week, just to reset 24 hours. Some only eat one meal per day. Okay. I think that goes beyond the 16 8-hour window. Again, your body will adapt itself to whatever you put it through. It takes time. It's challenging, but it's possible. And so the one meal per day, I really recommend it if you have tried the other ones. If you have tried 16-8, 12-12, 14-10, 24 hours, and you want that little challenge. I don't recommend if you're just starting, your health, weight loss, fitness journey to jump straight into that, because it would just cause your body more stress signals, which could just not really help in the progress of losing weight because of the hormonal changes. But that's another talk. Yeah. So those are the examples. So you might be asking yourself, okay, so what can I eat during my fasting time? Just make sure that it's balanced, nutritious meals. Okay. I always provide in my coaching ideal plate blueprint, and that's how I named it because it's ideally how you want each meal to be, every breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even snacks. Okay. So you always want your carbohydrates, you want 25% of grains, you want 25% of protein. If you look at your plate, okay, this is your plate. And then you want a whole 50% of vegetables, of your salad, sprinkle in some fruits if you want. So that's kind of the ideal plate that you want. So for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you want to make sure that you have your proteins, your grains, and your fruits and your vegetables. Okay. For breakfast, or no, to break your fast. It's interesting, right? Breakfast, break your fast. Yeah, you can break your fast if you've done 16 hours of non-eating and it's time to eat your first meal with just a smaller meal just to begin. Fruit is a great one because it's got a lot of fructose, natural sugars. Once you have it, it just goes straight into the system, really gets absorbed and stored for energy. So it's a good way to break it with a little fruit plate, add some protein with plain Greek yogurt, sprinkle in some chia seeds if you want. As you can tell, that's what I often do. I like my fruit plates with Greek yogurt. During your fast, you want to make sure that you drink only non-caloric drinks, and that is any herbal teas, any black coffee, and water, okay? You can add maybe some lemon to your water, like slices of lemon if you really want to add flavor, if you don't like just plain water. I don't recommend adding too much fruit, obviously, because that still can generate a bit of fructose, but it's still good to just add some flavor to the water. And the most important thing is no drinks that contain sugar. Absolutely no drinks that contain sugar. As soon as you could drink or eat, right? That's kind of like putting sugar in the body, glucose. And so the engine starts again. Okay, the engine starts running and insulin starts rising so it can store the glucose and the system begins. Okay, so you want to make sure that you let the system calm, detoxify, repair, and do its magic. Okay, and mindful eating really helps. What I mean by that is once you try intermittent fasting, you'll really know what I mean right now. 16 hours, 12 hours without eating, when you have that first bite, and don't devour it, and then because you'll be wanting to eat the whole kitchen maybe, but just really be mindful in the moment as you eat and enjoy the flavors, the juices of the fruit, or the crunchiness of um, bread, whole wheat, hopefully. Just that really is great for also not overeating. And how to go about it, how to get started with your intermittent fasting journey. Plan ahead, okay? So plan ahead of schedule. What I mean by that is if you're going to start on Monday, on Sunday, sit down and really think, okay, tomorrow, Monday, my first meal is going to be at 10 a.m. I'm going to sleep the 8 hours, um, wake up and have the breakfast at this time. I'm going to stop eating at this time, maybe 7 p.m. And yeah, and tomorrow I plan my meals, and that's when I start the journey. And it just takes planning. It takes writing it down. It takes looking at a calendar, maybe write the things down on a calendar and put it on the fridge, anywhere where you can easily see it and it can easily remind you every day of the journey that you're embarking on. And remember, I say journey, but really a lifestyle, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to put too much pressure on yourself. Health and fitness and wellness and all this jazz, it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be very simple. You just have to be mindful and really plan ahead and be prepared for different physiological feelings. And what I mean by that is if you're not used to 16 hours of not eating, 12 hours of not eating, or um, waking up and immediately having your breakfast, as I was before, because I love breakfast. And your body will be, you'll feel that stronger sensation of hunger, or maybe you'll get some headaches because you're not constantly eating like you were before, but just be prepared of that. Your body's going through changes, but just know that the body's so magnificent and it adapts to absolutely everything. And even if you're not used to eating vegetables that much, the more you do it, the more your palate will just get used to it and be able to receive them well. And yeah, just have patience with yourself, plan ahead, and be prepared for the different feelings that you might feel. And so, just quickly here, intermittent fasting sounds amazing, sounds great, and it is great. But there are uh, some signs that you probably should not try intermittent fasting, okay? So if you are pregnant and breastfeeding, obviously this is a stage in life where so much is happening to your body. You're growing another human inside you. You're probably having more cravings, more desire to eat more calories. I mean, it makes sense, right? You gotta eat for two, sometimes gotta eat for three. So you wanna make sure that you check with your doctor first and just run it through them, kind of what eating patterns you're choosing, and if that's good for you. If you have, or if you currently have, or have had history with an eating disorder, I mentioned before, Intermittent fasting causes you to think about a little more about the times in which you begin eating, in which you stop eating. So, uh, if that is kind of triggering for you and causing you to create more obsessive patterns, then maybe it's a good idea to choose um, other alternatives to having a good relationship with food. If you have diabetes or issues with your blood sugar levels, so that is super important because when you don't eat, when you're fasting, it really affects the blood sugar levels in a positive way. Of course, it's not spiking up and dropping, spike and dropping. It's just consistent, right? Because you're not adding any food to your system. So making sure that you go to your specialist and see if this is a eating pattern that works best for you. If you are prone to experiencing anxiety, long periods of not eating for a normal individual that doesn't have high anxiety, it can cause us to be moody, irritable, headaches sometimes, or just we're not fully there, low energy. And so if you do have or experience high anxiety, this can kind of increase the mood effects, if that makes sense. So yeah, just make sure, again, talk to your healthcare professional to see if this is a good thing for you. And obviously, if you're prone to fainting, yeah, it's all about blood glucose levels. You don't want your blood glucose to be too low. We also don't want it to be too high. So yeah, very important to check with healthcare professionals before adopting this if you feel like you need a double check. Okay, ditching the diet mentality. We're almost there, team. Almost there. I hope you've been taking some notes. And if you have any questions, you are so welcome to message me, okay, after the workshop. And yeah, we can start a conversation. And any questions that you might have, I may answer them in more newsletters because it might help others. They might have the same questions. So, the diet mentality, okay, so ditching that. Like I said, it's not a diet. It is a just different behavioral pattern. It's different patterns of eating. And I encourage you to trust your body, to begin to trust your body, okay? The more you engage in intermittent fasting, the more time you have to actually listen to the true body signals because you're not always bombarding the body with so much food and nutrients, and you're just allowing it to be, allowing it to work as it's supposed to work, okay? Allowing it to repair, to rest, to reset, to detoxify. So the more you'll start to really hear the signals of the body when you have true hunger, your digestion, your sleeping patterns, okay? So a huge element of success, of successful weight loss involves learning how to listen to your body correctly. And this means feeding, moving, and being kind to your body when it needs you to be. Okay? So stopping the rushing around, we're too busy to care for our health, and just kind of prioritizing health a little more. Yes, consider yourself and goals before committing. Okay. So you can put a pause to this slide, to the video if you want. Grab a piece of paper and really write down your goals. And as you can see here, the quote, if you have a clear goal with clear motivation and clear steps to achieve it, it will be difficult to fail. Okay. It will be difficult because you've got so much clarity and you're just going, okay? You're just going and nothing's taking you away from the journey because you know where you're going, you know what you want to achieve, you identify your why. Why is the reason that you're wanting to care for your health in 2022? What is the reason that you're wanting to achieve these goals? So have a pause or put a pause and really write down, take some time. Take some time to just be here for you. Really reflect. Be here for you. Consider yourself. And some resources, they will be sent or they are sent in your email, so you can check out and kind of read more resources online to study for, if you want to study further about the topic. And we're done. Whoo, we're done, but you're just getting started, okay? And I'm so excited for you. If you've made it this far, amazing. Thank you for taking the time, because it's not really for me, it is for you. Watching these videos, reading the emails, applying to your life the tools that I'll be sharing, it's really you taking care of you. So be proud of yourself for that and having the desire to engage in this journey. Okay? My website there, essentialworkerwellness.com. You're welcome to visit it. I have coaching programs, six-week coaching program where I obviously work with you, accountability, and all of this. We just really customize it to your circumstances, your circumstances, your goals, your lifestyle, and everything else. Okay, and you can learn more about me, what I do. And just stay tuned. Stay tuned for the newsletters. And this is your intermittent fasting workshop. Thank you so much for watching until the end. And I hope that if you do engage in intermittent fasting, go ahead and try it for a week, try for 2 weeks, for whatever time, and just send me an email. Let me know how it's going. I would love to know about your journey. Okay? So stop sharing here. And that is everything for today. Again, thanks once again, and I will see you next time.